Hello. I am going to take my mask off because it is easier to follow what I'm saying when you can see my lips. Okay, so I am here to tell you about, just give you a sample of the kind of project that you might be working on or that you might be hearing about as an undergraduate student of the Cultural History program. The Cultural History program includes classes both in the social sciences and in the humanities. And what I'm going to be showing you today is an example of a topic in the humanities. And as you can see, I'm speaking in English. This is because some of our classes are being delivered in English. The student body at the Cultural History program is very diverse. People come from all over the world. And so we have a very interesting group of students that we invite you to consider joining. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about approximately 5-10 minutes. Okay, so let's get going. All right, so the humanities. What are the humanities? When we think about the humanities, what comes to your mind? There are many different words that people usually think about when they're asked, well, why do you want to study the humanities? Some of these are literature. People tend to be interested in literature. People are interested in visual culture. These are people who are interested in gender, questions of gender. They're interested in art. They're interested in questions of globalization and migration and people going through life from very different backgrounds and walks of life. There's one word here that is missing and that I would like to add, and that this tiny sample of the humanities at the University of Novi Gorici should include or will include, which is technology. And it is a very strange topic to be adding to this list, perhaps. The first impulse will be, well, why is technology included in the humanities? It is a topic that might be included elsewhere. But actually, before I could do, like, for example, it would be included in an engineering department or a history of science department. Why is it part of the humanities? So what this topic that I'm about to show you is going to demonstrate is why technology belongs in the study of the humanities in the 21st century. So first of all, what do I mean by technology? By technology, I mean all of the different devices, so technical devices that we have used in order to create culture and cultural heritage in the 20th, the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st centuries. So, you know, tapes, films, and in the 21st century, we also have computers and phones, things like this. This is what I mean by technology. The means by which culture is created. It used to be paper, and in the modern era, now it's very technical. Okay, let me flip. Okay, so ultimately, what I want to show you is that the reason technology is important is because we cannot speak about art, we cannot speak about visual culture without thinking about technology as well. Now, what I want to show you here is an experience that I had when I was a young person, and I went to museums and I looked at pictures and I made up all sorts of stories. It didn't matter what the picture showed. I found something in it that was unique to me and that was very, very, very special. And I would sit there and look at these paintings and really just fantasize. So I think this is very interesting because very often when you look at the same image, you do not see the same thing that I see. Images can be extremely powerful things. For example, when we look, I'm showing you a picture of a situation of people looking at images who are very emotionally involved. They're moved. You can see that they are completely absorbed in this image. I will show you now another picture of people who are very involved in the image, but a little bit differently. This time they are shocked and they are surprised and they are astonished. These are all images that are powerful. They're emotionally powerful and they grip us. And I will show you even a third image of people who are here mesmerized. It's almost like somebody came with a magic wand and cast a spell over them. They are entranced by this image. Why are images so powerful to us in the 21st century? There is one very elegant way of explaining why images are so powerful, and this is the technology on which they are created. And today, so images are magical when they are seen through technology. And so today what I want to do is I want to focus on this device that I showed you here, because this might be a device that you have seen in pictures, or maybe you have actually worn the device yourself. It's a very cool device. It is called a virtual reality headset. And what it does, and what you see in this picture of people who are wearing them, because you wear the virtual reality headset, is an image that is very uniquely powerful. It has one unique power, and that is that it is three-dimensional. It's a virtual image. It's as though you were transported into an alternate dimension. Okay, now what I want to show you here, I'm showing you an image. This is the kind of image I'm going to be talking about for the rest of this presentation. It is a very strange image. I hope that you will see that looking at this image, your eyes might get very confused and you might even want to look away because you do not understand it. And the reason I picked this image is deliberately to confuse you, because if you look at this image only with your eyes, you will be confused. In order for you to see this image clearly, you need the history of technology. You need to understand the technical device, the media device that actually made this image. Without it, it is gibberish. Okay, so here I am showing you what the technology actually looks like on the right-hand side, or this might be the left-hand side in your case. In any case, you will be able to differentiate. There are two devices, and one of these devices is from the 20th century. So this is the kind of device that you would probably see if you go to a show, with a virtual reality show, or if you go to an IMAX cinema. There are different situations where you would have encountered this one, the virtual 21st century headset. On the other side, however, I have a very strange device because it is made of wood, and it looks really nothing like the other one. And yet, this is what I'm about to show you, it is exactly the same. It does not have all of the interesting technical equipment. It does not have electricity, for example. It does not have its own light source. There are many things it doesn't have. And yet, the way it creates virtual reality is exactly, according to exactly the same scientific principles as the one that we use today. This one costs 500 euros. That one costs 20. Okay, so what I'm going to be showing you is that there's been a very long history of virtual reality. Virtual reality is not only in the 21st century. In fact, virtual reality was one of the first types of image culture, of visual culture, that became widespread throughout the globe. Throughout the globe, these devices that I showed you from the early 19th century were purchased by people. As you see, lots and lots of women bought them, and they were used in their homes in order to create these very interesting images. And you will see that the way these women from the 19th century are creating a virtual reality environment is very similar to the way we create virtual reality situations today. They take the headset and they hold it up to their eyes. And it is by looking through the eyes that suddenly they are transported into an alternate dimension. This was hugely popular. And for many, many years, nobody knew about this virtual reality culture because it is not in the textbooks, because it is considered technology, and nobody was interested. And then as historians started discovering this part of our cultural heritage, they started to realize that actually this interesting and very powerful relationship we have to images in the 21st century can be dated all the way back into the 19th century. Here I'm showing you an example of women who were collecting these interesting technologies. They were, each one had to buy one virtual reality headset. Everybody, each of them had one, and then they all came together. They had tea, and they shared not the headsets, but the images that they put in the headsets. These images were some of the earliest collectible items, and because they were so successful as a way of bringing women together, they can also be understood as early social media. Okay, now, in order to understand, remember the image that I showed you of the alien who looks very, very alien. In order to understand what makes these images, this kind of media, so incredibly powerful, it is not enough to study the history of this era's culture. It is not enough to study the history of this era's literature. What we also need to study is the history of this era's technology. And that's what I'm going to show you now. I'm going to show you a little corner of the history of science and technology. This man here is a scientist. He lived, as you see, in the 18th and 19th century. His name was David Brewster, and he is still very famous for having invented what I'm showing you here, the first virtual reality headset. And what he did, and this is a very interesting thought process, and the reason I want to show you this is because it will help you understand not just why images are powerful, but how strange images are and how difficult it is for us to gain distance on our own cultural heritage. We need to do a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of reading in order to gain distance on our cultural heritage and to really truly appreciate how complex it is. Okay, so here I'm just showing you that there is a similar use to this old original device and the new device, that the way this device works is by stimulating the eyes. So it absolutely exclusively about your eyes. And when you hold it up to your head, it is almost like the rest of your body you can completely forget about. I don't know if you've ever had this on your head before, but you are totally transported. You are in a new world, and this new world is only accessible through your eyes. Okay. Now, what this David Brewster, scientist, oh dear, what just happened? Did I just lose the screen? You can control the device using something? Naya, can you still see my PowerPoint?
I can see your PowerPoint.
Okay, thank you. It's just the television that lost the PowerPoint, but as long as the computer has PowerPoint, that's what's important. Okay, just 2 more minutes, Nikita, and then you can take over. All right, so this is what I wanted to show you. This guy, Mr. Brewster, what he was thinking about in looking at cultural heritage is that there's something very strange about it, because all of the cultural heritage that we have produced is two-dimensional because it is flat. And he was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, people have been making images for a really long time, and all of them are flat. But actually, if we think about it, we have two eyes and we see the world not flat, right? Because the world is not flat. It was discovered to be round by Galileo well before this guy, Mr. Brewster. And he was thinking about, well, why is it that we make flat images if actually we see the world in two dimensions? Maybe we should start making images that have depth, because they will be actually closer to the way that we see the world. And so what he realized is that because we have two eyes, what he realized is the reason we see the world in 3 dimensions is because we have two eyes. And that is significant because each eye, your left eye, sees the same world. It's the same world, but it sees it from a slightly different angle from your right eye. And here is the reason that I wanted to show you the diagram. In the history of technology, diagrams are very important, and it's important to learn how to read a diagram. It has all sorts of visual information, it has all sorts of technical information. So I'm showing you this diagram, it's a historic diagram, and it shows you the way our eyes work, that you see something on the right and you see something on the left, and these images are different, but they overlap. There's this wide range where right and left overlap, and yet there's still a gap. So your brain is resolving the gap between right and left every single time you open your eyes. So even though we think that it is completely natural the way we see, actually what is going on is that your brain has to correct your vision. It has to resolve, it has to create an overlap between right and left in order for you to see depth. So the conclusion was, we see depth and we can recreate the depth that we see if we produce one image for the left eye and another image for the right eye. And so what Mr. Brewster invented is he invented binocular, as opposed to monocular eyes, vision, and binocular images. So instead of one painting, he put 2 paintings next to each other, 2 images next to each other, recreating the possibility of images being actually much closer to the natural way that we see the world than flat images. Okay, so that was my little introduction to the importance of technology in the humanities, the history of technology to the humanities. Thank you for listening. And I think Nikita will be giving another presentation, this time, once again, switching to Slovenian. And then if you have any questions later, I'm right here, so we will end. I will come back for the ending. Okay, thank you.